Okay, let's start design systems in Vue. So how many of you have heard design systems word before? How many are, okay, that's great. How many have worked with design systems in production? Like, not yet. So this talk is about creating beautiful experience using design system. So first of all, what are we going to learn from this talk, right? When you are here, so you will be learning a couple of things here. These things are why design systems? Why there is a need of something like design system? What are the available options that you have in the Vue marketplace, Vue ecosystem for design system? And what if these available options don't suit you? Then what do you do? And I will also explain about the common mistakes that people can make while approaching design systems and what are the ways to avoid them. And this talk will also make you learn like what you can do from now. Like if you are with your current situations, how you can transit to design system. That's it. Let's talk about the problem. Why do we need design system? So imagine you're building a product and you started front-end development and it's going quite well. And since it's going quite well, you get funding, you get more developers on your team. Now there are 4 more developers who have joined your team from different companies and in fact different teams of your company. So whenever a new developer comes to your new team, they come with a lot of different knowledge. They come with a lot of different experience. So for them, if you give them some design, they will start creating it, but they will not be creating with the same understanding of how you created. For example, creating a button. So they would, if I give a design with a gray color button, they would just whatever matches the correct color, they would just use it. So something like that. So this can create a lot of problem. The problem is that your design become inconsistent of the site. So at one place the header is using some kind of font. In another page, the same kind of header is using a different kind of font. These kind of things can come up if your project start getting bigger and your project becomes larger. So these kind of problems can come. So, yeah. So the problem is design inconsistencies, which I just mentioned. The second one is so this actually becomes a roadblock in your design and development, is that your the quality assurance doesn't move it to your done thing. So your task is never done. It gets into the QA. It becomes like, oh, your button is not using the correct color or something like that. So these two things lead to design systems, and the solution is design system. So this solution is actually a centralized knowledge base. So all the knowledge about your design, all the decisions that you take are stored at one single place. What this gives is that whenever a new developer comes, they just have to look at this design system to understand the design decisions that have been taken. This also reduces communication around basic designing, like how do I put questions like how do I put which type of button do I use, which type of how it should look, how should primary button should look. Small questions like that can be reduced. And the next thing is consistent design. So across your whole product, your designs are almost consistent every place. So after using design system, actually I'll just explain how your before and after situation shows. So before, developer used to ask small questions to each of the developer, or used to communicate a lot with designers about how this should be, how primary color, how secondary color, what are the secondary button styles. The small questions like these used to be a lot there. But once you start using design systems, the communication becomes more actual communication, or things that actually matters, but small things that can be done is solved through this. Yeah, and your design become more consistent. So for example, as a user, you are used to seeing one type of header, and then suddenly another page is using another type of header font. So this can be fixed when you start using design system. One fun fact about design systems is that this concept is not new. This concept has been there. I think I read one of the paper where they discussed about design system, and so design system was also there when they were creating metro signboards. So when you see a platform, how numbers should be there, what type of font should a number use, and what type of font should platform word should use. So these kind of things were already there. But since we are discussing Vue, I will discuss about the Vue ecosystem and what options do we have in Vue. So coming from here, let me discuss about design systems and Vue ecosystem. So there are some preset libraries and component frameworks which are already present that you can use in the Vue. So to speed up your development, and yeah, it just gives you a boilerplate kind of things as well. So now I'll be going through one of the couple of few design systems in Vue. So let's discuss about Vue design system. This is kind of, whenever you Google Vue design system, this one shows at the top. Although its development has not been so active, like I think the last one has been December 2018, the last push they have been doing. So the benefit of using this design system would be that it's good with the collaboration with teams. It's made like, so this one, if you have a bigger team, it's good to go with Vue design system. Then the good advantage, another advantage of that is it creates the documentation of your design by itself. So in the same project where your front end is, it creates an automated kind of a living docs which you can use. So you don't have to create like another tool like Storyboard or another tool to create like a self-serve document. So this can do that. The next one is Carbon Design System. This has been very popular by IBM. This follows IBM open source design system. And one benefit of using this would be that it gives you sketch library. So if you are a designer, then it can be really helpful that you just can do drag and drop of these elements, and these elements would be similar to your components. And recently they started supporting Adobe XD also. So if your designers don't use Sketch, then if they use Adobe XD, then they can use these component libraries to create this. The good thing about this is it's updated. Like the last commit has been there 12 hours ago. That gives like, if you want to start your project, then this could be a good place to start with. But just looking at the number of stars, it doesn't seem like you want to pick it at first. It's not one of the popular design systems. But the thing is that they keep continuously developing it. Then we talk about Bootstrap Vue. So if you have been doing front end, you have heard Bootstrap. And the thing about Bootstrap is the low barrier to entry, right? So if you have been using Bootstrap previously, then using Bootstrap kind of similar variation in Vue would be much simpler for you. Or your developers who have been using front end, it would be good. This is also active development. That is that you can vouch on it. The development has been active. If you create issues, somebody will be there to check those issues. And one good thing is this is bi-weekly update, bi-weekly release candidate. So they have these kind of release cycle, which is like in 2 weeks they create one release cycle. So you can expect faster bug fixes and enhancements that you can expect much faster. Coming to the next one, a lot of people don't know about it, but Vue.js also has a UI library. This library is, we can say it's kind of a work in progress or not so high priority by seeing the last commit that was in October 2019. But it seems like a good start. Like if I think in future they would create it as a component framework, something like that. But I'm really not sure. Apart from this, the documentation is in progress, but they don't have good documentation at this point. But they do have like all the components listed up at a page where you can check. So if you just want like quickly get into something in UI using Vue, so you can start with that. The next one is Vuefi. I came across Bulma design a couple of months ago, and I saw that Vuefi could be a good candidate if you want to pick up a design system in that. One of the good thing is that it's very lightweight. It's around 60 KB, including, I think, including Bulma design. So it's just 60 KB file. And it's also active development. Like the last commit has been like yesterday. So it's like a good thing. You can vouch on it. And it also has like 7K stars, which makes it kind of popular in Vue design system. And a lot of times nowadays people are going to material design guidelines. So there are good frameworks in Vue that you can start from today that can create like a material design supported UIs. One of them is Vue Material. It completely follows Google Material Design guideline. But the downfall is it's the release cycle. It's like yearly release, and yeah, it's not so much. But it can be a good alternate to Vuetify, which I'll be discussing next. So yeah, the yearly release kind of, I couldn't vouch for it. But it seemed pretty popular with around 8.5K stars. So yeah, a lot of people are, it seems like it's being used by 9,000 projects. And yeah. Then comes one of my favorite, not trying to be partial, but I would vouch for it. If you want to start your development in Vue, go for Vuetify. Vuetify completely follows Google Material Design guidelines. It's liked by many. That's like 20K stars on GitHub. Their development is very active. They have like weekly release cycle. If you create an issue, it would be like somebody would be there within weeks time to like give you like correct thing. Yeah, and there's a thriving ecosystem. There are premium themes that are created. So there is one developer, Creative Tim, if you have heard him. So he creates lots and lots of front-end dashboards, and he has created a lot using Vuetify. So if you want to like quickly get your dashboard up and running, I think Creative Tim has one free project for that. One thing is active development. Like commit was 6 hours ago. Whenever I took the screenshot at that moment, it has like great stars. Then, just to quickly give you a comparison of 2020 Vue frameworks. So it seems like Vuetify and Quasar has like around 80 components. These are material design components, you can say, like components like drop down or app header, app footer. All of these are each components. Then server-side rendering is supported in all. Long-term support, as I said, Vuetify is something that you can vouch on. Like if you want to create your project, start with Vuetify. It has long-term support given to them. Then their release candidate, as I was mentioning, it's completely weekly, which is like the fastest in other ones. So its development is very fast. RTL supports, which is right to left if you want to focus on Arabic languages or some specific languages. Yeah, and it also supports premium themes and premium support as well. And it also supports enterprise as well. So they have a separate support for enterprise. So if you are focusing on pushing it out to enterprise clients, then Vuetify can also support that. Yes. As I was mentioning, business and enterprise support. Yeah, kind of that. So after knowing which all these design systems, what can you do now to take action? So let me take examples and explain this in examples, like how you can start design system in your company or in your personal project or wherever you feel like putting it out. One is you have a new product, right? So your new product is there, and you want to start developing with a new product. So the first thing is you understand the type of product you are trying to build and what influence or what is something that you want to emphasize on. After that, you want to understand what type of design language you want to go to. You want to use material design, or you want to use some other kind of design, or you want to use your own custom design for this. So that is that first point. Then second is you pick up a suitable design, suitable component library for that. That could be Vuetify, Vuefy, or any other. But in case you don't have it, then you customize based on your needs. I mean, this is the high level of what you need to do. And so, for example, if you pick a component library and you want to customize it, then what you need to do is these all libraries have customizable theme. So you can actually create like theme by light and dark, and you can easily mention what type of color you want for primary, secondary, or accent or error colors, things like that. So this is Vuetify, but I think Vuefy and other libraries does support similar kind of customization. So picking up one library and picking up another library would be very simpler and similar to make customization. And they have other kind of customizations as well. One of them is SAS variable customizations. What if you want to change the complete, the way your button looks all across the app? Then you can just change the SAS variables for that. And this would be similar in other component libraries as well. Talking about your existing product, so you already have like a big project and you want to start it. So the thing over here is that when you have very big project and there is no style guide or there is no design system present, then the first thing to do is identify all these components that you have. So you can start by taking screenshot of each button that you have, screenshot of each element, form element, buttons, header, and put them at one place. And then you try to categorize these buttons. So categorize maybe primary action buttons together. All of these primary action buttons, all of these secondary action buttons, all of these headers. You try to categorize these things. So once you categorize, the next thing would be to see if there are any different or not. In one of the real cases are that one button might have 3 or 4 kind of color variations in one single app. So if you don't follow, the developer might not be, they might, because since they don't have this information, they might use similar kind of color that can create a lot of variations in a single button itself. So things like that, you need to write it down and you need to choose what you want to do. And then later on, you can, after changing every place to that specific one that you selected, you create something like storyboard. Storyboard is a tool which I'll discuss furthermore, which you might want to use if you are creating your own design system. So when you're creating design system in existing product, you just list all these components, whatever you have, categorize them. And then from categorizing, you use a tool where all components can be at one place. So they have like single source of truth. So a developer, a designer should be seeing the same components, things like that. So before that, let me just explain a little bit about storyboard. So just a moment. I just need to show you what storyboard looks like. So yeah, just a moment. Yeah, so instead of showing you or telling more about tech, about just words, I want to show you like a demo of what a storyboard looks like and what is storyboard. So storyboard is nothing but a self-serving project. So this can be inside your front-end repository, or it can be a separate project which you can deploy as a build. What this has is, so this is like an example. This is an example of a project, storyboard project. So you can see, you have things like buttons. There are different kind of buttons that you can have in an app, rounded and square. So these are single source of truth. They have like, how do you use them? Some way they have like, they are auto-generated, these kind of docs that are present. And you can also see the code for this. So your developer also understands that, okay, this is how you create a rounded one, or this is how you create the square one. Yeah, things like that. And as I said, it's a single source of truth. So yeah, it's supposed to come here. So so yes, this is storyboard. So just wanted to explain what storyboard would look like.
Sorry, can I ask a question?
Sure.
I didn't get where this fits in the whole design to implementation process. What is this tool? Is this some open source library? Or,
It's an open source project. So what it does is you can create kind of stories. These stories are basically each component. So it creates kind of a documentation or a single source of truth document for all your developers to look at.
Developers?
Yeah.
So it's a way to document components along with their design and their...
Yes.
Okay. Like if you have a library of components, you will...
Yeah, so instead of going through the code, right, instead of going to each CSS and checking each thing, each and everything, it's better to look them up from a storyboard, like storyboard tool. There are other tools, but yeah, you can try storyboard.
This is the first time I've come across it.
Yeah, I mean, lot of projects in my own company are moving to storyboard or similar tools because you don't have to read the code, right? Reading code can increase time and it can increase ambiguity and it can create confusion also within developers.
How do we manage the mapping of code one to one? Like if the code in the actual component in the code base changes.
Right. It changes here also. Yeah.
Okay. There must be some connectivity.
Exactly. There is. So when you create it from your. So there are ways to create it. One could be from the project, or another could be from your, from outside the project, and then there are configurations that you make.
Does this connect directly to any other design system that you just mentioned before?
Yes, it can get connected to any of those. Yeah, and the thing about storyboard is it's not just focused for Vue. It is for Angular and React also. So if you do a React project, yeah, it supports that also. Then let me discuss about the mistakes and the mistakes that people do while doing design system. One of the mistakes is design system is a side project. They take it as a second-class citizen. They don't focus on it, and what they end up with is the designing sketch. So basically, the sketch output. Sketch. How many of you know Sketch? All right. So I won't use jargons. I would just say the designer output. So what they are left with just designs of each buttons. And so if they focus it as a side project, in long term they just end up with just the layout or just the designs of each components, right? So you have to treat it like a main project. It's not a side project for you. The another thing is you might need executive level buy-in before starting a design system, right? I mean, you would want to get executive and you want to get your manager approval on that. But before starting, you might not. You might need just two people, one of the most enthusiastic designer in your team, an enthusiastic developer on your team to just start building it. Then the next assumption a lot of people make while creating design system is if you build it, they will come. Here they are designers and developers. So once you build a design system, the developers and designers will see it and will try to use it, but it's not true. Once you create design system, you have to manage a process where developer looks up at the storyboard or a single document of these design system and then understand, and same with the designers. A design system is just a component library or a style guide. It's a lot of time that people have assumptions that they have been using style guide, so it's a design system, but it's not. It's more than that. It's actually the complete, as I mentioned, it's like the design decisions. So even things like sound, sounds and other things can also be in design system. Like what happens when I click on primary button, like what sound does it come or something like that. Then the next one is people will memorize design system guidelines. which is not true. People will not memorize. They have to look up every time it's there. So you want to keep it at a place where it gives you like complete, where your developer feels very easy to check these kind of design system guidelines again and again. So it should not be like very difficult for them to open. It should be very easy and a simple way to access these documents. The next assumption is every company needs a design system, which is not true. Like not all companies need design system. You might be overworking if you create a design system for a small team. Design systems work best when there are large teams where the communication can increase a lot of overhead. So to reduce that, design systems are a great medium to do that. Then so let me end my talk to what are the takeaways that you take from this talk. The first one is understanding design systems. So after this talk, I hope you can understand what design systems are and how they get used. You now know all these design systems in Vue ecosystems, what different type of design system component libraries. Then I hope you can choose a specific design system based on your need. So if you are going to material design, then try Vue Material or Vuetify. If you want to keep Bootstrap as the same, go with Bootstrap Vue. If you want to try like really the core of Vue, then go for Vue UI. Or you can create your own also. Now you can start your design system journey. And I would be open for question and answers. Sure. You ask first.
Whenever we just see, it's just an UI which is just, can be seen as set of code of HTML or something like that. But there are other aspects like security out there. Because simple I love you virus, it was just a text file with I love you, just sent as a mail for everybody. But it had ruled the computer, it actually ruined the computer industry for so long time. How can we do the testing of such kind of objects in any of the deployments? Because a customer might come to me and ask me, test this app, whether there are some vulnerabilities or
okay.
So how to test that kind of?
Sure, there are ways to test security vulnerabilities, but they don't come under design system. So design system also doesn't create any securities vulnerability.
This is an open source software. Anybody could have developed something which can cause an vulnerability.
Sure, there are vulnerabilities in a lot of big open source projects also. It doesn't mean that having a lot of stars can make your project, very high. They can be vulnerable. The one thing is that if you're enterprise, there will be already checks for it. Like they would not just directly take Vuetify. They might have reviews for like maybe 1 year ago Vuetify system. So there are teams like that which audit like each and every open source, and you can fork it from your specific enterprise place. So enterprise might be having enterprise has basically these kind of platforms where you can fork it and start creating the projects, things like that. But if you are concerned about your personal project, then you can start with the higher stars rank. Yeah, that's first way.
So I just noticed this GIF is pretty nice. Nice to ask questions. The first time I'm seeing. My question is regarding the storyboard. So you mentioned design systems are overkill for small teams if you are going to create them ourselves. So is that the same for storyboards also?
That's a good question, but I think the storyboard is useful in small and large both teams. Since you want your developers to look again and again of how a specific button is, like let's keep an assumption that people don't remember. People don't memorize design system guidelines. People don't remember, they don't memorize how a button should look. So there anyway has to be a single source of truth where all of these details should be present. So even if your team is small or big, it shouldn't matter. Like something like storyboard or a design style guide document, these should be like the primary things that anybody should have.
I guess since it is tied to the number of components in your code base, for a small team, even the components are going to be less in number, so the initial effort should also be lesser than compared to designing a full design system.
Okay.
That also seems to be there.
So one of the thing is that since your team is small, you would be a part of discussions about design decisions. So you would be knowing how. So if you're creating a new button or a new form, you know how it's already going like that. But in case teams which don't communicate with each other, it's difficult to make them understand that this is the primary button, this is the secondary button, or more detailed, more minute, specifications.
Another question is regarding the design library themselves. So Beautify seems to be one of the best for if you're going for a material-focused design system. But for non-material, what is your opinion about what is there in the ecosystem?
Right.
You mentioned about carbon. I'm not sure if I missed because I joined a bit late.
Okay.
Carbon is where I joined. So there is also, I've heard, and design.
And design is also
You
there.
also mentioned elemental in the comparison table.
Right. Let me go back
What
quickly.
detail on that?
Sure. Let me go back to that one. Yep, this one.
Right. So this one has elemental UI and apart from that, actually, carbon is not mentioned in this table.
Right.
And design is another one which I'm not sure whether you have heard of.
Yeah.
I think there is a library for that also. So, non-material, what is your opinion on those, especially considering the payload size also? Like now we are seeing there's tree shaking involved.
Right.
But I'm not sure whether it is available for example, carbon and design.
So the thing about design system is, if you don't want a material design system, then what kind of design are you looking for? So basically, you might be looking for a customized design or customized library, right? So that you have to customize by yourself and use that design for your,
I see. So what you're saying is the RBM's carbon design system, for example, doesn't really follow a consistent design.
They do follow. So they have their own design system, which is carbon.
Right.
So, and the carbon view is the view component. So you get view component for each thing, for each kind of button, each kind of alert, and all of that.
So for non-material, we are sort of on our own, then, is what you're saying.
If non-material, then carbon, Viewify, Element UI, all of that.
Thanks.
Yes.
So I have one question. We use Ant at production. One of the things that I found is there are obviously these global settings configuration that you can do either before production or during production, build and all those things. But there often comes a point where you have to tweak the CSS of a very specific thing. For instance, the import, maybe the focus on the import or the hover on the import, or maybe change certain things to suit your design aesthetic or whatever. So in these cases, what would be your approach? What would you recommend as an approach to have a separate CSS file, SAS file, which you override the default styles, or do we do it on a component basis wherever it is being designed and executed?
So since it depends. One of the things is, if it's across the app, then yes, I want to override my SAS variables in some file. But if it's just on some specific component, component, I would do that. Yeah.
So you mentioned Quasar in the comparison.
Quasar.
I believe it is more focused for mobile applications, is it?
Quasar started with mobile. I think it has web compatibilities also, so you can create web apps using Quasar also. The reason I didn't list it here is the lack of research done by me on Quasar. I am really unsure of what Quasar is.
I'm also actually less informed because, as you mentioned, it has evolved now. So my question was regarding since I saw Quasar, I was wondering if there is any design system which allows me to build something and also makes it compatible on the phone in a decent enough way. So if I'm trying to build progressive web apps, let's say, and I use, let's say, Beautify or some other system, maybe Quasar is a better option that way, but I'm not sure. So I thought I'll ask.
Next is also a good alternative.
Which one?
Next, NUXT.
That is for server-side rendering, I guess.
AWS with that also.
Yeah, but from a design point of view, like what I build should look good on a phone screen also.
Yeah.
That was the core of my question actually. Is there a design system, in your opinion? As you said, you haven't done research, so maybe you can just pass this question.
But for the phone responsiveness, I have the answer for it. Beautify and all of these are responsive frameworks. I thought implicitly it's just each framework nowadays is responsive. So all of them works well on phone.
So compared to Quasar, a follow-up question. Compared to Quasar, Beautify, are they on the same level? Because Quasar started as a mobile-first sort of framework. I believe.
So I wouldn't be the right person to answer. If there is someone in this room who can discuss about Quasar like that. So.
Otherwise, I'll find it out.
I think Swapnil, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I think recently they had a major release, or like maybe 0.16 version released, which is now like it is very much capable of running mobile apps as well as hybrid apps on AWS. And I think if you're focusing on mobile, Quasar is a better choice to go.
Sure. That's about it. I think we have a couple of minutes more if you have some question. Else I can quickly give you a miscellaneous slide that I've prepared. Yeah, but if you, first of all, if you use Twitter, you can follow me on Nimit Bhargava. Yeah, a lot of people who have been working already or using style guide might ask me a question, then what is design system? Like, is it similar to style guide? Like, it's one of the questions that a team member come up, like, we are already doing style guide, is it not design system? Well, not. From this, you can see that style guide, all of these, is it visible? Okay, so all of these components like that are quite separated, and design system is like a superset of all these, yeah, all of these components like style guide or your rules, library patterns, and these building blocks, like that. Okay, thank you guys.